I'm Tracy Davis.
And I'm Patrick Trevino.
And this is the Layover Podcast,
where we talk all things business, starting it, growing it, selling it.
Well, more like the behind-the-scenes stories. The travel, the mishaps, the late nights.
The lawsuits and the lost bags.
So sit back, grab a drink, and enjoy your flight.
This is the Layover Podcast.
Welcome back to the Layover Podcast. This is episode 4. Dude,
I know,
wow.
time's flying.
Dang, I'm proud of us. We've done 4 episodes. I guess technically maybe 5, because if you count Han's, 2-hour episode that we had to cut down a little bit.
Yeah, I'm waiting for our producer to send us the bill.
We love you, Han and Jarrett. No, I hope you guys enjoyed last week's episode with Han, Puck, and Jarrett Morgan. It was such a blast to actually have guests in studio. Again, my guest room. And it was so much fun hearing their stories.
Yeah, it was great. And it was we've known them for years. Mm-hmm. And it was really cool to get to know them at a personal level, even deeper than we already did know them.
We've got some exciting new guests coming on next week, too. But you guys are stuck with us today. And it is bright and early at the butt crack of dawn. And y'all, I've only had half a cup of coffee, so you got to bear with me here because I'm doing this, heading to an event, heading on a flight. Yeah, what the heck are you up to today, Pat?
Well, I want to mirror that. I actually am sitting further away from you than I normally am because I think we've been working long enough. That I know my boundaries.
Do not
and
talk to me.
You have not had your second cup of coffee, and it's way too early, and you have a jam-packed day of your agenda.
My fangs are out, Patrick Trevino. My fangs are out.
I know. That's why I'm sitting over here. What I've been up to? It's been really busy. It's been extremely busy. We've been extremely busy over at our primary. Mm-hmm. It's been busy in my personal life. Mm-hmm. And one of my favorite TV shows started, so I've been binge watching that.
What is your favorite TV show? Please tell us.
So I don't watch reality TV.
The Bachelor?
No, The Bachelorette. I don't watch reality TV much, but Tournament of Champions on the Food Network.
Ooh, that is a good one. Yeah, I do like that one.
I'm that guy. I watch soccer Saturday morning religiously, and shout out to Arsenal, they won yesterday. I'm just so addicted to this show.
Addicted to it. Are you critiquing Michelin chefs' recipes?
But I don't know what I'm critiquing because they're like...
That's a great question.
They are so advanced at what they do, and they're amazing. And the worst part about the show is that it's on at 8:00 at night, and
that's
it finishes
way past
at
my
10,
bedtime.
Which I know that's past your bedtime. That's kind of when I, wake up.
What do you mean when you wake up?
Well, you know me. I have like an opposite reverse clock.
When the sun goes down,
and all the energy comes pouring in, right?
God.
And I get so hungry watching this show, but then I feel so bad about myself because I'm eating Oreos. And these people are cooking like foie gras, the most ridiculous meals I've ever seen.
Oh my gosh! Well, your binge watching is a lot more, sophisticated than mine.
Yeah, what do you watch?
I've got a guilty pleasure, and that I'm pretty embarrassed about.
Oh, please share.
So, can't believe I'm admitting this on air. So I have a guilty pleasure of watching a show called 90 Day Fiancé. I don't know if you've heard of it. Actually, if you have, I would question a lot about you.
I am very happy we're not videotaping this episode, and this is an audio only. But I do have a question about that.
What? I mean, it's legit.
Which version do you watch? There's like a million versions.
I watch all of them, all of the versions, and all of the couples. And if you haven't watched this show, y'all, it's about couples. One is from America, one is from another country. And they have 90 days to get married to get their visa for the, whether it depends on what show, whether they're going to come to America or they're going to go.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, how many variations of the show is there?
So good. I think about 5 or 6, maybe even 7. There's just different spinoffs, and I cannot get enough. And so that's like my guilty pleasure when I need to shut my brain off. That's what I turn on, and then I just get sucked into it like a vortex.
Is this the same type of show that was out when it was like the craze of, was it like John and Kate plus 12 or whatever they were?
Plus 8.
Oh.
It has to rhyme, dude. Yes, it's
I'm
similar.
sure that was not planned when they were conceiving their 8 kids.
Similar. So it's a reality show and they have to get married. And if they, you follow their journey and you don't know if the person's just there to get a green card or if they're actually in love. So you're on the edge of your seat trying to figure it out. Ooh, you should watch it. I think you'd enjoy
Yeah, I think I'm going to stick to Tournament of Champions.
That's fair enough.
Kind of adds more of a spark to it.
That's fair enough.
The other thing that I had for you too, that we actually got a couple of questions brought into the show. Yeah, they were emailed over. I had one on Instagram, but I think it was spam. Somebody asked me what type of shoes I was wearing, and I was like, well, that's not really content.
That's definitely spam.
Yeah, that definitely was.
No shoes for Pat ever.
But we got a really good question I wanted to ask you because it relates to not only what you've done at Trax and what you continue to do in your career, but networking is very, very, very important.
Absolutely.
And this entire episode is really based on presentations and things that happen in presentations. We obviously are adding the humor to this. But this question, it rang a bell in my head, right? And I thought about it for a while.
I'm nervous.
And so, yeah, it's a simple question, but it could be a complex answer. But this viewer, or listener, should I say, is attending their first aviation conference.
Okay.
So I was going to say condolences already to them, but
Godspeed
I will leave
to
it
your
on, we'll put it on a positive note. But their advice was, what do you recommend for networking and when attending these events? And how do you choose your targeted audience? Is it more of the client? Is it more of relations with other businesses, or is it relation with consultants?
Yep.
What do you recommend when it comes to the networking part of it?
Yeah, no, that's a really great question. I know a lot of people and a lot of startups are really wanting to break into the aviation world, and it's a tough world to break into. It's really, it has been historically a good old boys club. And so breaking into it as a small business or anybody who is not in the good old boys club it's a challenge for them. So the first thing I would say is, if you are going, you have to put yourself out there. And I mean, attend everything, attend the panels, attend the shows, and then also get yourself out there to go to dinners. And I mean, it's kind of cliche, but business for aviation does not happen in the exhibit hall ever. It happens at the dinners afterwards and at the hotel bar afterwards. So I would say that if you can find another partner, a company that, maybe you can work with or that you just connect with, and if they have an established reputation or relationships in aviation, honestly, I would piggyback off of that. And I think everyone in the aviation industry is really nice. Everyone wants to help each other. And I think if you can find a company or another individual that is willing to, invite you to their dinners that they're throwing, it's a really great way and a safe space for you to meet and to explore and grow your network through, of course, theirs to get your feet on the ground. What would you say? I mean, that's how I just had to put myself out there and, do the thing.
I would say the same exact thing. I think it's really putting yourself out there and not having tunnel vision when you're going into these events, speaking to everyone, because it's a big industry, but it's a very small community.
Very small.
And the more and more you get to know other individuals in other markets, I use an example. Something would be if you are selling a vending machine or a product, just because you're speaking to maybe an engineering firm or a design firm that may not really resonate directly with it, but they may know the right people to open up certain doors and certain conversations. From a networking event at an airport, I would never go into or recommend going into those events with the mindset of selling.
Never
would go into the mindset of educating,
relationship
building, and go from there. The aviation industry, typically here in the U.S., is rapidly growing, but the airports have not caught on to the speed of the growth that's there. I mean, it's air traffic in the U.S. is through the roof. It's expanding, and we're seeing airports, fund projects to meet the demand and the future demand. And so as that process happens, when you go into these building of relationships, a lot of times airport individuals, departments are ran by a small group of people that may not know everything that's going on in an industry. So when you go into these networking events, it's not about being pushy with sales or pushy with your product. It's
used
more
car
about
salesman. No offense to any used car salesmen out there. Those
yeah,
are awesome
yeah.
too, but
You
the
know,
stereotype.
one thing about used car salesmen too that drive me crazy is, do they get their haircut at the exact same place all the time? Like, why is their hair slicked back? They look like a 1990s Jean-Claude Van Damme with sneakers, right? Or Cole Haans, I guess, is the new thing.
Gosh. But don't be pushy.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a strong point and I think that's great advice for anybody coming into the aviation industry is don't sell. I mean, I know that sounds counterintuitive, but don't sell. Let people ask you what you do. Don't offer it up. And that's how you build a relationship and where people feel like they're not getting your product or your service slammed down their throat, that they literally are building a relationship with you. And then they want to help you after that. I think that's probably number one.
Great. Well, hopefully that listener takes that advice. And if you see me at a conference, come say hi.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Pat, now it's time for the topic of the day, which I'm actually really excited.
I feel like you always randomize the topic to me. So what is the topic? What am I walking into?
The topic is what the hell happened during your sales presentation. So, for example, we have all been in a lot of sales presentations. We've all, maybe not we all, but you and I have done a lot of sales presentations in our lives. And there's always some story that you have that you just kind of sit there and you're like, wait, that happened? That really just happened? Whether it was someone saying something to you, whether you, messed up on a grand scale. I'm sure that's happened to you a couple times.
Gosh. So many times.
So this is going to be about all of your sales stories and your presentation stories of saying, oh my God, did that really just happen?
Yeah. I have two that come to mind.
Okay. Shoot.
Because I don't want to keep this going forever, but have you ever had something happen to you and after the very next day, you think of what that incident was, but then you see that the entire day was leading to that happening, right?
Like
you're not surprised that occurred. Mm-hmm. So I was out visiting, doing a sales presentation for an MBA team.
Okay.
And I was traveling with a colleague and not on the same flight. I was coming from Boston and they were coming from Atlanta. And so I get on the flight, everything's going great. I go to leave. I have my headphones on, noise cancellation. This part has never ever happened to me. Only happened once. I pull my bag out of the overhead compartment and I leave. And now I'm walking pretty fast, and I don't walk fast. Yes, I don't walk fast. So
snail pace.
I was trying to meet up with my colleague so she wouldn't be waiting too long for me at the airport.
How come you don't take that consideration with me? You just mosey along when you're meeting me.
That is very true too. And she taps somebody taps me on the shoulder. And I don't know if you've ever had someone disrupt you while you have noise cancellation headphones, but it's startling, right?
It's
because you're not expecting that. And they're like sweating. And the guy is like, "You have my bag."
Oh
and I was like, "What do you mean I have my bag? This is my bag." He goes, "Oh, this is your bag." And I was like, "No, this is my bag." And the guy's like, "No, this is your bag." And he literally puts the bag down. It was the exact same bag.
Way.
And of course, I don't label my bag for anything.
Of course.
He opens the bag and it's my stuff. And I'm like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And he's like, "Oh, no." He's like, "Man, you walk fast." And I was like,
you're like, this is the one time in my life
ever.
Fast.
And I take the wrong bag, right? You imagine? And this guy, the guy was, I mean, whoever knows what I look, this guy was in shape. Like, there's no way I was fitting in that guy's clothes. There was no way. So I meet up with a colleague, get to the hotel, and we go get dinner and whatnot and catch up. And it's been a while since I had seen her. And the next morning, I get up in the morning, and this is when I knew it was something was going to happen, right? I go to her and I say, "Hey, our meeting's at 10. Why are you in such a rush?" And she's like, "Our meeting's at 9.
Oh, gosh.
And I was like, "No, it's at 10. Now we're in Starbucks, right, at a hotel. And she goes, "You need to hurry up. We have 25 minutes to get to the stadium or the arena, should I say." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." So I say, "All right." And I go and I order my stuff. And then I realized that she was correct.
Mm-hmm.
I had never changed back to Central Time.
Oh, bless your
I was
heart.
still on Eastern Time. So she's already flustered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she doesn't come from sales.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, we'll figure
Been
it
there,
out.
done that,
We'll
yep.
wing it. I just give the Uber guy an additional $20 and tell him to drive past the speed limit and get us there. So we make it there. We go in, we present, and you've presented with me.
Yep.
And I was not in theater, but I'm a very, very hands-on type presenter.
Right. Yep.
And we talked about this before of advice given to people of owning a room when you walk in a situation, understanding your audience and catering to that audience in your presentation, right? And so that strategy can be needs to be adjusted as you know your audience and as questions come in. But so we go in. She's flustered. She's red. She's overheating. I mean, it is sight to be seen, and I love her to death. But it was funny, and I'm just like, let's rock and roll, man.
Let's do it.
So plug everything in, and we get all the computers all set up. I start showing things. I have my multiple devices. I'm very hands-on in this presentation, and everyone's loving it. Everyone's feeling the vibe, and I get asked the question, hey, I really would like to do some, I believe it was like GIS mapping or something that they had, some type of mapping system they wanted us to work with. So I said, sure, no problem. Let's work through that. And lo and behold, I load up my presentation. Now, this thing in this beautiful conference room that they had our presentation on a display of two beautiful 80-inch monitors behind me, like an 80-inch monitor to the left, 80-inch monitor to the right. Like you were fully surrounded in this. So like wherever you were sitting, you had a perfect view. And so I go into the area of our system that correlates to GIS mapping, and I click on it, and the whole room goes quiet. Now, I'm trying to be the center of it. Obviously, I'm presenting.
The center of attention.
I caught
Ladies
myself
and
there.
gents.
I caught myself there.
The truth comes out.
And I turn around to look, and no one is looking at me anymore. Everyone's looking at the monitors. Now, I'm away from my computer because I have my Bluetooth clicker. And I look over, and the GIS, what I wanted to show them, I'm now in Africa.
Mm-hmm. Oh, God.
Literally, I'm in the continent of Africa. And as I'm clicking the clicker, I don't know what it did when it got to this, but it wasn't switching over screens because I have a setting that I can switch it from, let's say, the PowerPoint presentation to the software and then back. It was zooming in. And then so I couldn't get out of it. But my computer is literally in the other side of the room. And I'm on the other side because, again, I'm working the room, right?
Right.
By time I was done, I was like in the Congo. Like deep in the Congo. Like zoomed in to it was like deep in there. Yeah. And everyone was like, and I remember I look over at my colleague, and I mean, it went from red to just white in the face. Like it just thought it was going to be over. And I immediately I knew at that moment that this was the time to crack the joke.
Absolutely.
And I just remember saying, well, everyone, that was Africa, not your arena. And the whole room was laughing about it. And
you have to crack a joke.
Yeah, they ended up actually purchasing.
I was gonna say the question is, did you win the contract?
Yeah, we did. And I remember the primary person who was leading the champion of buying the system goes, we'll take everything except your GIS because it seems like that's still being worked on. And I was like, yeah, absolutely. That works perfect.
Works for me.
But yeah, that was, and it was funny because I felt from the morning it derailed me.
Okay, yep.
And we talk about this when we consult other people about sales.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't always go as planned.
Nope. You've got to dance.
And you got to pivot.
Yep, you got to dance.
And that was a hell of a dance, man.
Oh my God. Well, I have a story that was really embarrassing. And it happened, again, before the conference room. So again, it kind of throws you off. I was flying to, I think it was MSP. And I was going through, the airport was meeting me pre-security because they were going to escort me. I didn't have a badge at this airport at the time. And so I meet them, and I have to fill out some paperwork and do the thing. And, I'm going through security. They all have their badges. So they just, waltz right through, and then they're waiting for me, right? Well, I go through, and then TSA flags me. And I was like, okay. And so then, it was just normal metal detector. They're like, hey, you need to go through the, whatever you call it, the 360 camera scanner thingy. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So then I go through that and they do the scan and I step out, and where they show you like highlighted on the body image, like the areas they have to search. It shows
you like the yellow square.
Yeah, the yellow square, like, okay, it's a watch or it's a necklace. Well, this happened to be over my crotch, and it was just one square. And so I'm sitting there looking at TSA, looking at the airport, looking at TSA, looking at the airport. We're like, really, right before I go into this meeting, I'm going to get frisked inappropriately. And while the airport is sitting there watching me.
Right.
And so I was like, all right, let's just do this. It's so
now, was this before smartphones and all that technology was out?
No, it wasn't before. I mean, I'm glad nobody had recorded it, thank God. But they had to frisk me a little bit. And then finally the TSA agent was like, it just looks like your pants are too low. The zipper is going off. You need to pull up your pants. I was like, you pull up your pants? Like, don't tell me to pull up my pants.
That's hilarious.
Like, I'm rocking this look right now. And the airport just sat there staring at me, and I was bright red and embarrassed because there's nothing like meeting new people and then getting frisked in front of them while they sit patiently watching you. So I had to go do the sales presentation right after that. I think it was like even a pre-bid shortlist interview, if I'm honest about it. And it was very, very embarrassing, I've got to tell you.
So was that the show before the show?
That was the show before the show, ladies and gentlemen. I'm like, you better buy this system or I'm going to lose it. All right, you said you had two. What's one more of yours?
Have, the other one that I have is actually, I didn't cause the evacuation.
Oh God!
I just want to put that out there. But I was presenting at an airport, and this is a long time ago. And I was in the service industry, and I was presenting, and it was a capabilities presentation, if I'm not mistaken. But I went in and I was presenting all of our current services, auxiliary services, and whatnot. And we're sitting down, and I know this airport, so like it was a lot of laughing and back and forth and communicating and how you doing, how's everything going, and all of a sudden, I'm in the middle of my presentation, and the fire alarms go off.
Oh.
Now nobody moved, so I kept talking, right?
Nothing, a little distracting.
And then radio starts going. Some of the radio chatter starts. So I said, "Hey, I'll pause here.
Yep.
I want to make sure everything's okay." And they're like, "No, everything's fine." So I keep going. Then all of a sudden, the receptionist comes in, like pretty much kicks the boardroom down because we all got to get out. This is a real live emergency.
Oh no.
So, I'm like, okay. So I stop my presentation and I'm like, so we're going to go outside. And for the record, I drove 7 hours to this airport. I didn't fly. I drove 7 hours.
What?
Yeah, to this airport. I used to drive a lot. And it was like my
over
quiet
4,
time.
count me out.
It was my quiet time, but apparently I need 7 hours of quiet time.
You don't need that much quiet time.
Yeah, well
maybe
I did back then. So we evacuate. So everyone leaves, right? I'm outside. And it's like freezing because it's in the Northeast.
Oh my gosh.
And all of a sudden I come back inside, right? They're like, okay, everyone can come back inside. Now, I don't know if you know this, but like when an airport gets evacuated, everyone post security has to come outside too. Yep. And then I'll have to get rescanned.
Rescanned, yeah.
Right? So I'm like,
oh my God, there goes your
So I sit in the boardroom because I think everyone's coming back. Nobody came back. I don't even get a text message, nothing. Nobody came back.
Abandoned.
So I tell the receptionist, I'm like, hey, I was just wondering, do you think we're going to finish our meeting? She's like, oh, no, we're going to definitely have to reschedule. She's like, everyone's going through security now. And I was like, I know, but they work here, so why would they go through? She's like, no, they need to assist in the process, which is okay, And so I pack up my stuff. I get in my car, one truck, and I start driving. About 45 minutes later, now I'm on Interstate 90. Okay, so for those who know airports, you kind of know where I'm at now. I'm coming on New York Thruway on 90. I get a call, and it says it's the airport director. He goes, "Hey, where are you? We're waiting for you."
Nuh-uh. Are you kidding me?
And
I would piss myself. I'm sorry. I know that sounds terrible, but I would be so anxious at that point.
Yeah, I was like, "What do you mean?" And he's like, "Yeah, we had to take care of the situation, and now we're ready for you to finish your presentation." I was like,
"Get your butt back there."
No, I didn't. I mean, I was 45 minutes
there,
down the
yeah.
road the opposite way. And I was like,
Let's
my
reschedule.
apologies. I was like, we'll have to do it virtually. I
Yeah.
was like, your receptionist told me that you guys weren't coming back.
Yeah.
And obviously your hands are full. And I totally understand that. Long story short, he invites me for another presentation there years
Virtual
later.
or in person?
In person.
Okay.
In person. And so I go and I do the presentation. I actually ended up winning the job.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Makes it all worth it.
Yeah.
Did they frisk you afterwards?
They didn't. But you know what's funny? I don't want to get off track because I tend to do that a lot. But I do have a funny TSA story.
What?
And man, I got them so mad.
How do you? Oh.
Yeah, it was fun. It's funny though. So I was going through security and same thing happened to me.
Right.
You know, the magic yellow square.
Yep, magic.
And it
yellow
hits
squares.
me right in the
Party zone.
party zone, right? I guess, or lack of. And the person comes up, is like, I need to frisk you or touch you or whatever they say. And I said, yeah, not a problem. And they start to touch, you know, my knees and my inner legs and thighs and stuff. And they, you know, searching, and they're doing their job. And that's what they're
Please
supposed to
stop
do.
using your hands when you explain
Sorry.
this. Thank you.
Yeah. So, because I don't know if it was a bad story or a good story, and I'm reminiscing right now. I'm trying to figure out which is what. But they go ahead and they go to my inner thigh. And I literally just look at them straight in the eyes. I don't know why I said it. It was just on my head. And I go, you're welcome. And that person got so mad.
Oh my God.
I mean, beyond mad.
Why would you even say that to
It
the
just
poor
felt-
TSA agent?
It just felt like the right thing to
felt
say
right.
in the moment. Right?
I'm gonna go to
Like
tell
I
you it
thought
was
I
not
was gonna
right.
make that agent's day, and I ruined their day.
It was
And
not the
yeah,
right
it went
move.
off.
Oh my God.
So what about you? What's your second one that you have?
Yeah, you know, this is probably less funny, more like, wait, what the hell kind of moment. I think you actually have a similar story. I know other ladies have had similar stories. But I think I was sprightly 25, and I was going into, I think, airport meeting. It was definitely airport meeting. And I was walking into the conference room, and I'm feeling it, right? Like 25, I'm confident. I'm like,
I love it. Isn't that it's such
like,
an energetic
the world
feeling?
hasn't taken me down, right? Like there's no bags under my eyes. You know, I popped up and I'm excited about everything in life. Yeah. Funny how things change. Yeah. No, I'm teasing. But no, I get into the conference room and I go through this presentation and I nailed it, right? Like I'd studied, I got all the tech right.
There is no better feeling than that.
Like I was killing it. And then after the very end of it, I'm like, I won this. Like the airport director loved it, whatever. The airport director looked at me and he goes, wow, you're really smart. So how old are you again? And I just sat there and I'm like, what the hell does my age have to do with it? Like, I just nailed this. You want this software. And he was like, you're really pretty. Like, you know, how old are you? And I go, I'm 65. I was like, how old are you? And he just sits there. I was like, not sure what that has to do with the software I'm selling, but thanks, appreciate it. I am really smart. No, but it shakes you up a little bit when you like go through that whole process and then someone just looks at you and be like, wait, you must be a little kid, right? So like, how do you know all this stuff? It was so condescending, but at the very end of it, they did buy it. So props, thanks. You take a little and give you a little.
Have you ever had the opposite happen? Like
where you sucked at the presentation and they said, how do you not know this?
Yeah, we're trying to influence people, not trying to like, but have you ever had it the other way around where something embarrassing didn't happen to you? It actually happened to the people that you were presenting and using your space?
No.
That happened to me once
What
too.
happened?
I can't say the airport.
Okay,
That I will not
totally,
say. I'm not even
totally.
going to say the region or
Totally.
wherever I was. And in fact, it wasn't an airport. It was a sports team that I was
Okay. working
with. And I was going in to do, not a sales presentation, a QBR. I was doing a presentation on how our performance was. And it was, this organization was amazing.
Right.
And so we're sitting in this room. It's all operations people. He's like, yeah, go ahead and just connect your computer.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, okay, cool. So last time I was there, I remembered that they didn't have the port I needed. So I had brought a flash drive and I was like, I'll just plug it into a flash drive into a presentation. So I opened a flash drive. I put in a flash drive. I turn on the computer and the web browser pops up.
No.
Now, this is not my computer. This is
Okay,
their
I was going
computer.
to say your web browser.
This is their desktop that's controlling their conference room.
Okay.
Okay. So I was trying to get a video to play and it wasn't working. And then in the video, there was a link. So I said, okay, the embedded video is not working. So I'll just go
go
to
into the browser.
YouTube or whatever and where the video is stored. So I opened up the browser.
Oh, no.
And I click on it. Video wasn't working. So as you know, go into the options of the browser. And the browsing history was up. No. It's displayed.
Oh, God. I'm so
I see
right
the
now.
browsing history, and immediately my hand starts to twitch because I need to get out of the browsing history. But everyone behind me can see the browsing history because it's already being displayed. So lesson 1, never display on a big screen while you're still navigating through your computer. And this point, it wasn't my computer. I just want to make sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, you do need to put a big
It was not
there.
my computer. It was their computer.
Like that, the clients, like
the client's computer.
Wow.
Was the one that was connected to their projector.
Oh my goodness.
So last time I was there, I couldn't connect to my computer.
Yeah.
So I just brought a flash drive to connect it to their desktop that was there. The entire room starts laughing. I'm flustered. I'm like, guys, it's obviously I'm doing a great job here.
I have so many questions.
And it was one I wanted to know is like, why would you search that?
Yeah. I want to know
in a work computer in the conference room that's connected to the projector.
So I know we can't say all the details, but so it was obviously something dirty.
It was an adult site.
An adult site. Okay. Oh my God. How horrifying. Yeah, but on your work computer.
It wasn't like they accidentally like Google searched something and then like clicked on it and then realized, oh my gosh, this is the wrong link.
Like they were doing some deep searching.
Oh boy. There was like, in the browsing history, it would show you the folder, the subfolder, the search and how you browse through the site. And it was like, I don't know, like 2 days prior. So like obviously nobody had used this computer on it.
Ladies and gentlemen, number 1 rule, clear your browsing history.
Yes.
Actually, no, number 1 rule, don't look at dirty things on your work computer.
Thank you. Thank
number
you very much.
2 rule, clear your browsing history. No, that's crazy.
Yeah, and from a selling standpoint, regardless of using their devices or your own, don't project anything on there. And because I think this might have happened once when I was with you presenting and nobody caught on to it. I did immediately. I think you were talking to everyone, but I had put in a thumb drive to do a presentation, and in that presentation was their competitor's presentation that I had just given to them an hour prior or 2 hours beforehand.
Oh my gosh.
It was saved on the same flash drive. And it was labeled differently. So that's why now I have a rule that I don't project anything until I'm exactly on the page that I need to see before I turn on the projection on it.
That's a solid rule, guys.
So,
that's a solid
please,
rule.
If you don't listen to anything else, I give you advice, but listen to that one for sure.
That should have been the advice that you gave early in the episode.
Yeah.
Clear your browsing history and don't display anything until you're ready.
Yeah. And so the other thing that I had for you too that I wanted to discuss is we have a lot of moving things going on right now, and
just a little bit.
I actually had somebody ask me this question, so I wanted to ask you the question because I gave my answer to them, right?
Okay.
And the question was very simple. You guys do a lot in 24 hours in a day, and how do we coordinate this? How do we plan all of these things that we do, not only for what we're doing over at our primary, but also what we're doing for Mind and Social, what we do with the podcast, your time that you spend with some of the networking activities that you do outside that are not related to work, your volunteer work, your charitable work that you like to do. Obviously 90 Day Fiance, that probably takes up a majority of the time of everything else. How do you find time to balance all that?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. I'm not sure I have a solid answer for it. I think it's a moving target, right? And I'm growing as we do this, and I'm getting better with it. I am old school, man. I still have a paper calendar. Believe it or not, I still have a paper date.
This is coming to a person that literally makes fun of me because I still have stamps.
I still have a day timer. And the night before, I always go through my schedule and I time block throughout. So if we have to do an early morning podcast before 8 a.m., I put that on my calendar. If I've got an event, I put it on my calendar. But I always make time early morning no matter what for myself. And I've talked through that. Mila's tummy is growling right now. I've always talked through that, and even on another podcast, is that number one, when I start my mornings, I have to have quiet time to set up the day. And then that helps me balance the rest of the day. If I don't do that, I feel really frantic. Like my energy feels frantic. And so just scheduling it out and then giving yourself some grace, because you're not going to be perfect every day and you're going to mess up, but keep your priorities clear. And then your priorities are going to be your family, your relationships, your work, and then start to dwindle everything down after that. And a lot of coffee, man. A lot of coffee, which I have not had enough this morning.
You answered that so perfect. You should have seen my answer. If you saw my answer, honestly, knowing our partnership and how we work together, you probably would have laughed and walked out of the bar.
Oh,
and by the
God.
way, it was at a bar.
What did you say? Did you embarrass us?
I did.
Okay.
I did. It was a complete embarrassment. I actually, after I said it, the person looked at me and was like, wow. We do live very busy lives because outside of work, we have our personal lives.
Absolutely.
Right. And as you know, I have kids and whatnot, and, making time for them and showing that I'm conversating with them with work and everything else that we have going on. My extra activities is trying to golf. So for me, that actually is kind of my quiet time.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's your meditation.
That's my balance of keeping me grounded, and it's self-competition. But man, I will tell you, I answered that question so bad. I basically said it went something like this. I said, "What do you mean?" And the person was like, "Well, you're always running around. I see you traveling. I see you doing this. How do you balance all these things together?" And I said, "Well, that's simple, man." I was like, "I just don't think about it." And they just stared at me. And I was like, "I just don't think about it. I'm a horrible planner. That is my to-do. I guess it's like not my to-do list. It's like trying to get better at it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm really trying to structure my life a little bit better, starting with even meetings.
Oh.
I'll use a good example. I'm traveling today. I don't even have a hotel today.
Okay, that gives me so much anxiety.
And I'll figure it out, but it's plenty of hotels where I'm going.
Sleep on the bus.
Yeah. And and what I will say is that I answered it just like that. Yeah. And I didn't even take a step back. I said, it is.
Highlight some areas of improvement, Pat.
Yeah. I mean, it is. I have gotten better at structuring, but this is the life that I've chosen to live.
Totally.
Right. And I don't see work as work.
Right.
I'm passionate in what I do. And so for me, it's like, it's a great, great opportunity to spend time with friends, colleagues. And I don't view it that way.
Right.
No,
absolutely.
I don't. And so for me, would somebody consider an 8-hour workday or 7-hour workday, I'm okay with making it a 12-hour workday, right? Because to me, it's not work. It's something I enjoy to do.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I think this is the podcast and all of this stuff. It really brings some extra energy to to me, I can't speak for you. And having a creative outlet, it brings even more excitement to the day. So it's fun. I love what we do now with Tracks, and I love what we're doing with this podcast and Mind and Social. And so it doesn't feel like work, to your point.
Speaking of Mind and Social.
Yeah.
Obviously, I have access to your calendar, and we can see each other's back and forth. There's this little thing you have blocked off going on. So tell us about this little woman's retreat, which I'm actually very jealous about. Like, I don't know how I wasn't invited into this.
Ladies only.
But yeah, tell us about it. I'm very interested in what you guys are doing.
Yep. This upcoming weekend, we are having our very first Mind and Social retreat in collaboration with another woman's company as well. So that's sponsoring. And we're hosting really a personal development and professional development retreat. So we're going up to North Georgia, Dahlonega. We've got an Airbnb, and we are doing everything from networking to personal development. You're going to laugh, but a fire ceremony of like writing down what you're leaving behind, what you want for the new year, what you want for, this next chapter in your life. And we're all just sharing and growing together. And then networking. Everybody that's going has their own business or is an executive. So it's about sharing in community of, from a personal standpoint and professional. So, and of course, we're going wine tasting and going to a winery that afternoon and evening, which, doesn't hurt a little bit. So it's really exciting. I can't even explain how excited I am for it. It's our very first retreat that we're hosting, and it is going to be badass. So once this one is done, it's closed out. There's going to be almost 10 people coming. And then from there, we're going to hopefully host regular ones. Maybe we'll have some that our boys are included. We'll see.
I cannot plan this because I would show up and I
Yeah,
do
we
whatever
know
you
your
need me to
planning
do.
is questionable.
But for planning,
You're
I would show up
hotellers.
and everyone would stare at each other and be like, "So what's next?" And I was like, "I don't know, man."
No, there are activities planned, meditations
That's awesome.
planned, networking sessions planned. So it's going to be really great. It's going to be really wonderful, and I think energizing for all the ladies that are going to be there. So
Yeah, and I'm not going to make fun of the fire ceremony because I was watching. I watch, as you know, I stay up late, so
Yep.
I watch like Jimmy Fallon and all these other night shows. And he had somebody on. I think it was Kevin Costner actually.
yeah,
That was on it, where he does every year. He does a New Year's festivity at his ranch.
right.
And what they do is they build this massive fire, and everyone writes down things that they want to forget, things that want to leave behind, and they have a fire ceremony, and everyone, has their turn to
Right.
say it out loud or if they choose and throw it into the fire. So if Kevin Costner does it, it's cool, right? So like, I'm not gonna make fun of you for that.
Thank you very
I'm
much.
obsessed with that guy.
We made the cut, ladies. Don't worry, because Kevin Costner
that
does
guy's
it.
amazing. But I think what you're doing is awesome, and I think it's cool mixing it up, right? You guys
Yeah.
are doing some professional building, also personal building. A lot of times the personal stuff is left out, right? And everyone thinks it's just a personal retreat.
Yep.
But it sounds like it's a retreat, well-rounded retreat for everyone.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's
to
about, and
partake
that's
in
the
it.
core of Mind and Social, right? It's building a community and networking in a different way, right? It's outside of the exhibit hall and the boring, sessions that you have to sit in. No offense. But it's more about
I mean, I love those sessions. I want to talk
right.
about runway lights for the 17th year in a row.
biometrics. No, but it's really about finding a new way to connect with people that can help you professionally and personally. So it's Mind and Social's goal. I'm really excited about it. So I'll stay tuned. I'm sure we're going to have a lot of fun stories to share after this first retreat.
Oh, I
and then
cannot wait to hear.
hopefully a lot more to
I
come.
cannot wait to hear about it. And also, we're going to be taking a show on the road.
Yes.
So we do have guests booked around. I am still trying to become an audio guru.
It's
So
taken some time, ladies
I've
and
been
gentlemen.
annoying our producer every day, asking him questions and emailing him, and him sending me just YouTube videos of saying this is exactly how you do it for the 15th time.
Watch YouTube.
On it. But we are going to be taking a show on the road. We have a couple of stops that we're going to do. We have some very interesting people that I'm excited to chat with. And some of the people that we're chatting with, I'm not going to announce who they are, but they really are role models of mine as
Absolutely.
well.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very successful, intelligent individuals that have found that right balance in life
Yep.
between work, success, family, and merging that together. So I'm excited to get that going.
Absolutely.
Plus, I love to travel, and I take other people's suitcases, and I don't book hotels, so this should be all lined up. So,
that note.
in that being said, make sure you take care of your own reservations
I'm
and
gonna
itinerary,
handle
and then
myself.
I'll
Thank
meet
you.
you there, right?
Appreciate
exactly
it,
where we're
appreciate
going.
it.
And then I guess the other thing I just had for you is I know that at Mind and Social, you have this one event going on, and we are planning a joint kind of soft launch of Mind and Social.
Yep.
We've been very big on online and whatnot, and we kind of want to start stepping into that in person.
Right.
So we are looking to host an event this summer.
Yep.
If I had my choice, it's probably, well, I'm not going to say you're going to push back on it, but maybe a bourbon tasting or
Now we're
a
talking.
brewery or something
Yeah.
like that. But it really just networking in the community here in Atlanta, not only just from a tech side of it, but an entrepreneur mindset
Yeah.
of it is here.
Absolutely.
Atlanta's growing, it's booming. There's
Oh, it's
businesses
huge in
coming
tech,
left and
yep.
right. And it's no longer just a stagmented market. I
Yeah.
mean, the growth here is through the roof.
Oh my
I mean,
gosh,
it's
it's wild here,
unbelievable.
yeah.
And it's great for the city, right? To
Yeah.
see that.
So
So
we'll
we will be
release those
having more
details.
information, and they can find that on our website.
Correct.
Event
There's an event
section.
page,
I'm getting
yep.
better at promoting. I've been told I'm horrible at this. But yeah, I guess
If you go sign up for our newsletter on mindandsocial.com, you will get all of the details for upcoming events. Some are free, some are for members only. But it'll keep you in the know with the podcast. It'll keep you in the know with everything that we're up to.
yeah, and I want to just tell our listeners, thank you for being patient on some of our releases. It's been trial and error. We
Learning.
had releases where files were corrupted, and this is all
Trial and
learning, right?
error.
We're all learning as we're going through this. But I am forever grateful for one, our producer, who is
Absolutely
amazing and sits here and watches us ramble and is probably on his 4th cup of coffee, wondering when
maybe
this
has
episode's going to
dailies
end.
in that coffee now at this point in time.
But forever grateful and thankful. And I think that I look forward to continuing on with more episodes and our guests. And I'll throw it over to you to close the show out.
Absolutely. Well, we did it again. Episode 4. Proud of us. No, guys, thank you so much for joining. We do appreciate the support. We appreciate all the outpouring of love you've given us and, the kind words. Please make sure that you subscribe on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Please rate and review if you feel called to. I like to think we're delightful.
I don't know if you're called to. I think you should.
Do it now.
Do it. You know who you are.
And then please go to mindandsocial.com, sign up for that newsletter, and then you will get up to date and be the first in the know of when new episodes are released, behind the scenes content, and then, of course, events that are coming down the line. So we appreciate you guys. Don't forget us on Instagram and LinkedIn as well. And stay tuned for episode 5 coming the next week.